The movie starts with a meteor falling into Earth, burning up as it enters the atmosphere. And on the crash site, some bugs are eating the stuff that came out of the meteor. One mosquito then lands on someone, injecting some foreign creature into the blood. That tiny creature makes its way through the blood and releases some toxin. Malik, an army veteran, wakes up hazed from a sleep. He walks up to the mirror to check his eye and puts on some insect repellent. He dresses up and checks the news of protests. Then he hears something in the wall and leans up against it. He seems to hear a swarm of insects. Then, with an obsessed look on his face, he researches insects and packs up his stuff. Jay, Malik's son, is at home drawing when his mum, Pia, comes in asking him to go out and play with his brother Bobby and stepdad Dylan. But Jay doesn't like Dylan, and the outside stinks, so he wants to stay inside. She somehow convinces him to go outside, and he's on the tractor with the two, but he doesn't like it. Malik gets out of the motel and drives into the desert, thinking about a letter he wrote to his son Jay, telling him about how he needs to keep fighting on a secret mission while he sees another meteor crashing into the night sky. Jay reads the letter before going to dinner. At the dinner table, Bobby is bragging about driving the tractor while Jay was still drawing. Pia gets up feeling sick, and Jay is worried, but Dylan tells him it's just a bug and she'll be okay. He then compliments the picture Jay drew, but Jay hates him, so he throws it to the floor. This makes Dylan tell Jay to go to bed. In bed, Jay looks at a comic book of a spaceman fighting a bug-looking alien, while bugs are being caught by the bug zapper. Later, everyone is asleep when Malik sneaks into the kid's bedroom. He wakes up Jay, who is excited to see him. Malik then checks his eyes with a light, in case he has been infected by the aliens, then tells him they're going on a road trip together. Then they wake up Bobby, who doesn't remember his dad as much. Malik checks his eyes too. Then they put their shoes on and run out to the car, and Malik drives quickly into the night. On the road, the kids ask why Pia never told them about the trip, and Malik just lies and tells them it was a surprise. He then proceeds to make fun of Dylan, and that makes Jay laugh, and they get convinced to get on board on the trip. Malik also adds that they can never talk to anyone while on this trip, and hands them some bug spray. They duck quickly when a police car comes, but it drives past them. They pull up to a gas station, and Malik doesn't want them to get out, so he gives them gifts. Jay forgot to pack his sketchbook and he wanted paper, so he pulled out a file from his dad's bag, then saw the documents on the insects. Suddenly, a man sprayed some water on the car dressed up in a mask. Malik is shopping inside when the cashier gives him a mean look. Back on the road, Jay gets to the front seat while Bobby slept in the back seat. Jay then asks about the files, and he tells Jay that they are parasites, but when Jay looked worried, he tells him to get some sleep. Jay needs to pee, so they stop in the middle of nowhere. That's when a cop car shows up, so Jay gets back in the car. Malik talks to the cop, who is suspicious that they're out in the middle of the night for a road trip. The cop doesn't buy it, so he wants to search Malik and will pull out his gun if needed. He found a gun, but Malik doesn't have the permit for it. Malik tells the cop that he's a Marine and only has a small amount of time to spend with his kids. Then Malik saw something in the cop's eyes. He tries to get his ID, but the cop stops him and then shoots him with a taser, and they end up fighting, but Malik hits the cop with his gun and leaves him on the ground as they drive away. The scared kids want to go home, but he tells them that they can't go home now. He stops the car and tells them he's there to rescue them from the alien parasites that are microorganisms. Then he tells them that Pia also has the parasite, and they are actually going to a military base where scientists are working on a cure. Jay is really scared now, but Malik calms down his boys and tells them they'll be okay as long as they stick together. In the morning, the cop is still laid out when he wakes up on the road. He gets in his car and pulls out a tooth to throw it away and drives off. He parks at a stop and gets out with a shotgun, then points it at the sleeping kids in the car. But it was just a dream Jay had. He gets out to get on the hood with his dad, who's reading about these parasites. He shows him the map of where they're going. They go inside a diner for some breakfast, where Malik tells his boy that half the population have been infected, but they can't tell who it might be, and the waitress brings them their food. They get back outside, and Malik goes into the store while the kids get in the car. Then they spot a homeless woman and get down to hide. When she comes up to the window, Bobby jumps out of the car and runs towards the store, so Jay follows him and tells his dad who finds Bobby and gets angry at him for running, but he's more mad at Jay for not taking care of his brother. They get back on the road and have some fun getting the car up to speed and driving on the gravel. Jay is still worried about his mom and thinks she is still fighting the parasite because she has been sick recently. Meanwhile, Hattie, Malik's parole officer, is in a sketchy neighborhood looking for him. He calls her and tells her to check on his wife, but she keeps asking and finds out he took the kids, and now she's worried because that's kidnapping. He thinks he saved the kids and tells her to check on Pia, and that she's in the garage with Dylan. Malik takes off in the desert with the kids, while Hattie keeps calling him and the kids fight in the back seat. Bobby drops his toy and wants it back, but when Malik keeps driving, he grabs Malik's face and they almost crash. This pisses off Malik, and he snaps at Bobby, who wets himself. Bobby gets out of the car and runs away, but Malik catches him and apologizes. The police unlock the garage and find Pia and Dylan tied up in there. Turns out Malik had locked them in there, saying they are one of them and he has to save the boys. Hattie comes in and tells them that he's missing, so they tell her to wait outside. Agent Lance and Shep talk to Hattie about Malik. She tells them he's a sergeant in the Marines, but beat up his captain badly, so he had to go to prison. Lance is upset that she didn't call it in sooner, so Shep gets rid of him. He thinks Malik is unstable because he didn't pack anything except a gun. If they don't stop him, Malik is going to kill the boys. In the desert, Malik is showing his boys how to shoot a gun. They play around with sticks like they're soldiers. But back in the city, the police have put out a search warrant for Malik. The police are worried about what he might do to the boys. Hattie makes it to a bowling alley to her family, but she's worried about letting Malik slip through her hands. That night, Malik tells Jay that he's a tough kid while they sit around the fire. Then, Malik spots meteors, but Jay doesn't see them. They put out the fire and get back to the car, but the tire is flat and there is no spare. At the same time in a bar, Hattie meets with Raul to talk about Malik. She wants to know more about Malik because Raul was his mate in the Marines. He tells her the stress was so high when Malik snapped and hit his captain. Malik had sent lots of letters to Raul, filled with weird and crazy art. Back in the desert, Malik keeps driving with the flat tire. Jay asks him why nothing was on the news about the aliens and the meteors, and Malik senses some doubt, so he checks his eyes again. Then he picks up his gun and tells the boys to pack up. Malik steps outside with a flashlight and hears something, but he can't see it. He walks up to the door and goes inside. He sees lots of bugs in the house, but when he reaches for keys, a man with a gun stops him, telling him the police alert about kidnapped boys and a man with a gun and the $10,000 reward on his head. Malik runs as the man shoots at him, so he hides behind the sofa and dropped his gun. Malik hit the old man with a pole and he looks dead now. In the car, Jay takes out a phone and calls Hattie and learns his dad was in prison. He tells her their location and quickly hangs up. Malik has another car now and they take it on the road. Malik is shot and bleeding. He can't drive, so Jay has to take over. Jay takes the wheel and takes the ride slow as his dad and brother sleep. They get to a town and break into an abandoned house. They all go to sleep, but Jay is worried about his dad, so he tries to call, but there is no signal. Hattie meets Shap at the office and wants to come to the arrest because she feels it is her fault. She thinks Malik has an undiagnosed psychotic disorder because Jay asked if she was an alien on the phone and due to Malik's weird drawings. This doesn't change anything because Malik is still dangerous, but she manages to convince Shep to ride along. The next morning, two men are making their way inside the house. Then they see the dead old man, but he's not dead. Jay and Bobby are worried about their dad. When they go out, it's very dusty, and they look for something to eat. They find a kitchen and even play a little bit around the area. And then they get in the car by themselves and drive looking for a store. They find one, and Jay walks in asking the man for some medicine. He grabs it and runs out. But when Jay turns on the radio, he hears the news about his dad kidnapping two boys. The storekeeper comes over and asks Jay if he's in any trouble, but Jay says no. Malik wakes up to find the house empty, with a note saying they'll be back soon. As they drove back, the man at the store had called the police. Malik takes out the bullet with a knife and patches himself up. He feels something crawling inside his skin, so he freaks out and tries to scratch it out. He looks himself in the mirror and tells himself it's not real over and over again. The men who found the body are driving when they spot their dad's car, so they turn around to follow the boys. By the time Hattie and Shep are on the plane, the police are already on their way to the location. The boys get back and Jay tells Bobby they need to call their mom because Jay thinks Malik made it all up, and they fight till Bobby gets hurt and runs away till Jay can't find him anymore. Malik is lying down crying when Jay comes in with the meds. Jay knows he has been lying to them about the aliens in prison, so Malik tells him the truth about prison and that something is wrong with him, and this upsets Jay. Outside, the two men, all in military gear, are here to supposedly arrest Malik, but they're just playing dress up and have no military training. But they have Bobby, so Malik can't sit back. One of them gets nervous and shoots blindly at a house, and Bobby runs off when he lets him go. Malik gathers himself and runs out to his car as he gets shot at. He runs over the guy and drives backwards as the other man shoots at him, but Malik waits till the man is out of bullets and shoots him down and runs away. But Jay comes running and jumps at the guy. Malik puts Bobby in a safe spot first and gets behind the man who lets go of Jay. Malik gets water from the man and locks them both to a pole before going back to get Bobby. Jay is also okay in the house. They drive away in a new car, and Jay also lies to Bobby about the men being aliens. At a gas station, Malik calls Pia to give her the address. He goes into the diner and gets the boys burgers. He tells the boys that their mom and Dylan are cured now, but he has to keep fighting the aliens by himself, so he has to leave them here. He tells them he loves them and walks out. When the police come to the diner, it's only Bobby, because Jay is hidden in Malik's truck. The police are in a helicopter, so Malik drives into the desert to lose them, but there are too many, and he gets surrounded. Hattie warns them about Jay being in the car, so they have to be careful. Shep calls him and calms him down. He tells the cops to put their guns down. Hattie gets on the phone. She tells him things can be fixed and tries to talk him down. But when some cops come up behind him, he shoots at them and throws the phone out the window. He thanks Jay for being a good son and tells him to get out of the car, but Jay won't leave. Jay gets out of the car pointing a gun, and Malik goes out the other side. The police don't know what to do, but Jay drops the gun and runs to his dad, saving him one last time from the guns, as they hug and finally end this whole thing as the movie ends. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.